Atheist Nomads, episode 175. News for December 1, 2016. Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin. Joining me as always is Wesley.
Hello, everybody.
And joining us is Lauren.
Hello, everyone.
And I decided not to use the one with the pre-talking bit and forgot. So,
oh, okay. That's why the musical's only just now fading out.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
well,
why
that's fine.
I hesitated to start
On the
Yes.
fly.
Yep. And of course, this is an adult podcast, so
Cursing and hoo-haws.
yes.
Mm.
And yeah. Did everybody have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it looks like our turkey had eczema, but it was still really fucking tasty.
Aw, just like people with eczema.
Yeah, we still ate them. We gave him a dry rub. It's weird. It's like a baking powder and some salt rub. And It was really tasty as fuck. But we found out that our oven cooks too hot, and we cooked a little too long. But it was really.
Oh, the things you discover on Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, but there's Thanksgiving is like all pressure and you can't take it, and there's like people darting all around, and this one was just good and chill. It was really nice. Yeah,
Cool.
We went out to my aunt's place, and they made food, so we didn't have the stress of having to make a lot of food.
Yeah.
That's always a plus too.
Yeah, and
I made a badass beet salad, though. Beets and feta cheese and mandarin slices. It was awesome.
And even though our hosts were atheists, there was still a prayer at the dinner for the hostess's mother. And and by mother, we're talking probably 85 years old.
96.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit.
Okay.
She's turning 97 next year.
So,
Yeah, fuck it. She's old enough. Just give her what she wants.
Yeah, that's what everybody did. She prayed, and I think everybody held hands, and
Uncle David waggled his eyes at me.
about half
I'm
of
like, really? Don't do this over the prayer.
roughly
Jeez.
half of people had their heads bowed, eyes opened, and the other half, we had our heads held high, eyes open. I think she was the only one with her eyes closed.
Oh, the little kids did.
She was sleeping. It's okay.
So, yeah, she just, mumbled off.
Yeah.
No, I would not want to cross that woman. I've seen her mad.
Oh boy, I made yams and they didn't have marshmallows, and they were pretty fucking amazing.
Did you use lots of brown sugar?
I did not use a touch of. I used like 2 tablespoons of honey. That's it.
What? Oh, that sounds so good.
No.
No, check this out. I sous vide them, so I vacuum sealed them and let them cook at 150 for about an hour and a half. And what that does is helps the starches change into sugars.
Mm-hmm.
So they were already pretty damn sweet. So once I took them out of the bag, I just tossed them a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of honey, and then baked them. And they got all this nice, kind of dark brown texture on them, and it just baked up really nice. And they were actually really sweet. Cracked a little bit of sea salt on them, and they were just amazing.
Yeah, when I do Thanksgiving yams, which I didn't get to do this year, I boil them for about 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
Which breaks down the starches and makes them not chewy. The yams we had at Thanksgiving, they were kind of chewy. And so it breaks down the starches, and then I bake them with a brown sugar and water mix.
It's a typical
Mostly
yams.
more brown sugar than water, basically. And then, a bunch of marshmallows.
And then if you overcook them or put too many marshmallows on them, like we did one year, which I didn't think that there was a such thing as too many marshmallows, and I still claim that there isn't. But according to the expert, it was too many marshmallows. It became a mushy, glorious goop that we put on pancakes or waffles. It was on waffles the next day. Oh my god!
And what I did wrong that year was
I moan.
I made the mistake of putting the marshmallows on before it went in the oven.
It was so freaking good. All that gelatin went down into it, and then
So then I still had to put marshmallows on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Glorious.
All right.
Can we do that again?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go ahead and move along for some dusting off the degree. This time we're going to talk about heaven or hell, and
we were just talking about heaven.
Yeah. So this was the inspiration for this was seeing someone on Facebook posting to a deceased person's memorial page about how happy she is that she can keep talking to him and he's up there watching, and yeah. So let's go ahead and look at the different Christian forms of, who goes to heaven, who goes to hell. So we're going to start off with the people that believe in soul sleep. That's the doctrinal term that they don't necessarily like, but that's what other people call it. And so that's your Adventists, Jehovah's Witnesses, and some others. Some people will go to heaven eventually, not now, but not until after Jesus comes back, and there's no hell. So if you are a good, saved person, you are dead in the ground. If you are not saved, you are dead in the ground. And that all gets sorted out on the judgment day.
There we go. Just leave it to get sorted out later.
And
like that.
If you aren't saved, you get resurrected, shown you're wrong, and you then get burned up and you're gone again. But there's no eternal torture and torment for all eternity. So then there's Mormons. They do believe that you immediately go to the afterlife, because Mormons believe that we are just we are truly spirit babies inhabiting fleshly vessels. I don't think that's how they would word it, but
I don't think that's doctrine, but
they have to have babies for these souls to go into to inhabit. These souls were previously existing in heaven after being birthed by God's wife, and they need bodies so that they can
suffer,
earn their worthiness. I think is how that one works. But so then they have three heavens, ranging from there's a celestial kingdom, which is the highest one that only good Mormons sealed in the temple. They go men and their wives,
if they decide
to bring their wives with them, and then they can from there will become gods. Then there is the next level. I'm not going to try to remember what the names of them are. So then there's tier 2, and tier
angry
2
emails are getting written right now.
Well,
tier 2.
The Mormon Jesus is just a human like the rest of us. I mean, all those other good
blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus.
All those good Mormon men, they can go out and be Jesuses of their own planets later if they're good people.
No. They get to become gods, not Jesuses. Well, Jesus was the son of God's first son in Mormon mythology, whereas they would become like God the Father when they get their own planets to be gods.
All right. Okay. Then they get to have their own Jesus that goes down and be a savior if they want to.
That would be their own first son.
Okay.
If they want to.
So, okay. So level 2 heaven is for people who don't quite make the cut. So it's your Mormons who didn't maintain their temple recommends, Mormon women whose husbands don't choose to have them in the highest heaven with them.
Or do not get me started on that.
Or Mormon women who were not sealed in the temple. And also good Christians who were not Mormon, but God still decides we're good enough.
Good enough.
So it's still supposed to be so much amazingly better than life on Earth. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place. And then there's the third level, which is for all the people that weren't Christians and weren't all that good, but they weren't terrible murderers or homosexuals. They're just not good enough to be in one of the heavens. And I don't know if they actually think gay people would go to the outer darkness, but it sounded good. So then the bad but not terrible people go to this lower one, which is still supposed to be better than Earth, but they still know that there's others that have it better than them. And then the last group
that just hangs over their head for the rest of eternity.
Of course, same applies to the group above them, but at least they've got it better than the people down below.
Yeah.
And then there's outer darkness, where there will be the weeping and gnashing of teeth, and that's where the bad, the truly wicked go.
The gnashing of teeth.
And I wish I was drinking outer darkness right now, but no, instead I've got Black Bear 20 from Alameda, and it tastes like burnt coffee.
I'm sorry. I got you a beer.
So the first like 2 or 3 sips, all I could taste was burnt coffee. And now Starbucks. It just tastes
or McDonald's.
And now it just tastes like
beer.
Like a nice full-bodied beer.
Oh, so it's gotten better with time.
Yeah. As my nerve endings have been desensitized.
As you've burnt and scarred his taste buds, yes. With burnt coffee.
Burnt with ice cold burnt coffee.
But Outer Darkness is a really good imperial stout that's at like 11%. That is really hard to find outside of the Salt Lake Airport.
Oh, so it is a Mormon thing.
It's from Utah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need 10 seconds because there's an amazing place I had to give a shout out to. Its name is Peaks and Pints. It's down here in Tacoma, and they have this amazing cold press, cold brew coffee on tap, along with lots of other beers. But holy shit, that coffee is amazing.
Huh. All right, so then there's Catholics, where there is heaven for those who are like going to be saints or pretty damn close. These are people who are basically, no, actually not just basically. These are people who are free of all sin. They did their last rites, and they had confessed every sin, and they had completed all penance required for any of their sins. They go straight to heaven. Everybody else who is saved, meaning baptized Christian, from a baptism that Catholics recognize, which just recently Mormons were included in. They weren't before. Jehovah's Witnesses still aren't. They end up going to Purgatory. So it's not hell, but that is where they have to atone for any unforgiven sins. And the sentences there, to give you a good example, when I believe it was Erasmus was selling indulgences in medieval to early modern Germany. One of the things that got Martin Luther really pissed off, these indulgences would write off millions of years in purgatory.
Wow.
So you go there for a really, really long time to suffer just a little bit till you've burned off your sin, and then you can go to heaven. And then there is hell, which the Catholic hell is really the traditional hell that people think about. That is where people who are not good baptized Christians, people who commit suicide, people who die not being forgiven of mortal sins, so things like murder and abortion, they go to hell, where it is pure torment and torture for eternity.
Fire and brimstone and gnashing of teeth.
Then there's limbo, which was a thing until a few years ago.
Yeah, was that Vatican II?
No. Vatican II? No, that was even... I think that was more recent than then. I think that was John Paul II that abolished limbo. That was where unbaptized children went. So it was like this, supposed to be like this completely neutral place. Not good, not bad, just neutral. So kind of like Buddhist nirvana.
I don't know. I've seen some pretty nasty kids.
Yeah, all of them.
But that has been abolished, and conceivably all of the children there got transferred up to heaven because a pope said so. I
just shrug. I'm like, what? Whatever. You're making this up as you go along.
So then there's...
Of course you have to when you have a religion that spans over 1,000 years.
Yeah. Then there's the Calvinists. So they believe that God chooses. So, before you are born, it is determined whether you will spend eternity in paradise or whether you will spend eternity in hell with eternal torment.
And are you aware of this choice?
You are aware when you feel God's grace and you become a born-again Christian. By being able to do that, and by truly, by the gift of faith that God gives you, that is how you know that you are...
Okay, these are the douchebags.
The elect. These are your Baptists, your Presbyterians.
Doesn't matter how evil you are, as long as you feel the grace of God, you're good.
Yeah. They're not all douchebags. Like, Lutherans are Calvinists.
So it's not my fault that I'm an atheist. God chose for me to be that way.
To a Calvinist, yeah.
Okay.
Now, remember, anytime you're talking to a Baptist and they're wanting to argue with religion with you, first ask if they are Free Will Baptists or if they're Calvinists. The vast majority are Calvinists. And then let them, once you know that, hopefully they won't know what you're up to, but let them go for a little bit and be like, why the fuck would your God choose for me to burn in hell? And why are you wasting your time talking to me? He already decided. We already both know that's where I'm going, so why are you wasting your time right now, you stupid, terrible prick?
Oh, snap.
Say those exact words.
Yeah. End quote.
So that's Calvinist.
You had to take a drink of beer after that one. That was.
Then you've got Free Will Protestants. They believe that
these are the douchebags. Okay.
So this is your Methodists, your Adventists, Episcopalians. A lot
They're
of
not.
No, you get more douchey Calvinists than Free Will.
Okay.
Because so for Free Will Protestants, if you are saved, if you accept God's grace, then you go straight to heaven. Or if you're in the soul sleep group like Adventists, then if you accept God's gift of salvation, then you get to go to heaven eventually. And for the Free Will Protestants who believe in a immortal soul, everybody who doesn't accept God's grace goes to hell. There are some who have a little bit more generous of a God. Adventists are actually included in this group, where you are judged based on what you know. So if you never heard about Jesus and you lived a good life based on your conscience, then you can still go to heaven.
What if you're a sociopath?
Then you're going to go to hell.
But your conscience is clean.
Ooh.
Anyway,
not that kind of conscience.
Not that kind, yeah. If you don't have a conscience, then you're lost from the
Be silent, woman.
Then you're going to animal hell with all the good dogs and cats.
Aww.
Because you don't have a conscience.
Aww.
But what really got me thinking about all this again was when you have somebody saying, "Oh, so and so is up in heaven, looking down on me." That implies that they believe in an immortal soul and that hell is also an option. And if that person died from something like suicide or a drug overdose or in the commission of a crime, then under those same beliefs, that person is probably in hell.
Nobody likes to think the dead are in hell, though.
Nobody does unless it's not somebody they know and love. So when people really end up thinking about it, for the most part, everybody they like is in heaven and everybody they hate is in hell.
Well, everybody that they don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because there's millions upon billions of people in Africa that they just don't care about that are... Well, never mind.
I had that discussion with somebody in high school once. I made her cry. It was awesome.
All those good Christians that are in Africa right now that are dying, that they could help but don't.
Yeah.
Suffering.
All right, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll be back with news. Atheist Nomads is proudly brought to you by Archway Hosting. Check out their low-price, full-featured hosting solutions at archwayhosting.com. That's ARCHWAY hosting.com.
Hey, we're also brought to you by listeners just like you. Find out how you can become a patron at patreon.com/atheist nomads. That's patreon.com/atheist nomads.
So we last reported on the Kenai Peninsula Borough Assembly in Alaska after they decided that only established religious groups, in other words, only Christian churches, could give invocations after and this all happened after a Satanist delivered an invocation.
Boo.
They have now rescinded that policy change.
Not the Satanists, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd voted 6-3 to only allow established religious groups, and they have now voted 5-4 to drop that requirement. Yeah.
Isn't the Satanic Church an established religious group?
Established in the community was the requirement.
Oh, tricky.
Which, if you wanted to be really a stickler, would mean that you've got property that you either own or are renting for the church.
Yeah, but then that would discount any living room churches, which I'm sure there's still a couple even up there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Especially
small town like
up
that,
there
would be. But yeah, so this vote actually happened just a week after an atheist was allowed to give an invocation.
Aww.
The assembly president allowed that after using the dictionary to justify her choice. She found a dictionary definition that included, or at least would allow for including atheism as a religion.
I always hate that.
So at that point, everybody's like, oh, okay, what pretense are we trying to hold up here? Let's just go ahead and rescind it.
At that point, it was... She was looking through and was like, okay, this request came in. If I say no, we get sued and we lose.
Yeah.
How can I justify this?
That takes 2 seconds on Google's.
Yeah, like the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that allowed for sectarian prayers. Explicitly said, everybody is allowed. So that same ruling that allows for Christians to pray in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost allows Satanists to proclaim, Hail Satan.
Hail Satan!
Yee.
Or if you're vegetarian, Hail Satan. I make a vegan joke.
There was a time when I thought it was the Holy Goat.
Oh, that's funny.
That's epic. That's terrifying.
Oh, child ears. It was great.
Every prayer is ended with whatever floats your goat.
All right. So during Jim Baker, he's a televangelist. He did a Black Friday special, and he had the following to say.
Oh, no.
The thing that is shocking, Putin and Trump, I don't know what's going on, but they're talking about helping Israel rebuild their temple.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
I mean,
shocking.
You know,
it really is. Yeah.
If
wow.
When,
miracle. Yeah, miracle.
I mean, I wish I had time on this show, but
we'll do it when Tom's here.
Rabbi Berger, the rabbi of David's tomb on Mount Zion, agreed that recent political events were a sign that Jews in America should relocate to Israel. Within God's command to Abraham to leave his homeland and to come to Israel is a hidden message to the Jews that this year they must do as Abraham did and come home, said Rabbi Berger.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, when they start talking about building the temple and the Jews all coming back to Israel, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords comes after that.
Holy shit, he's talking about the end of the fucking world apocalypse shit.
Uh-huh.
You rebuild the temple, you get a red heifer, you fucking get all the Jews back into Israel, and then fucking apocalypse.
Yep.
And then bombs fly, right?
You don't need bombs at that point.
Now, if you really want to have an apocalypse, rebuild the temple, because that means tearing down the Alaska Mosque, and you'll have 1.5 billion Muslims fighting to the death in a much more easily justified jihad to preserve their third most holy site.
Wow. I mean, even if you take out the Muslim bit right there, which is fucking major.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's talking about bringing about the end of the world, the apocalypse, by death by God.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to bring scriptural apocalypse. That is fucking amazing.
Well, let them have it. I don't.
Well, the problem is, though, that those actions would bring about an actual apocalypse.
Yeah.
With a world war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But based on...
we would be in a major shooting war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, based on one guy's radio show bit.
Well, all Jim Baker does is talk about end of days and hawk like dehydrated food anymore to fucking people that want to
end of worlders.
Yeah, they want to live in little containers underneath the ground.
So
they're called bunkers.
It appears that this is actually coming from a neo-Zionist urging Trump and Putin to work together to rebuild the temple. Not that the two have actually talked about it.
There we go. That's the clincher I was looking for.
Yeah, so it's not even based on anything that is really happening.
That's okay. It makes it good for radio. You know, what I love was the guy in the background go, hallelujah.
Yeah.
It's like, shut up down there. This is a radio show. We can hear you.
The mics are hot, man. Shut up.
He does TV.
Oh, God. That's even better. I can even see the guy in my head.
Yeah.
You can't in the video.
I remember when he used to have, like, actual, like, colored hair. Now he's just, like, all white and...
Mm-hmm.
His crying image when he got arrested and hauled off. That was so lovely. Yeah, all he does is fucking hawk dehydrated food. So sure, he's looking for anything that will suggest the end of the world.
All right.
Yep.
Ugh.
All right, and I know this is a little early, it might seem a little early, but we're going to take our second break now before we get into a theme. We love hearing from our listeners. You can email us at contact@atheistnomads.com, tweet us at atheistnomads, send us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/atheistnomads, or better yet, call us and leave us a message at 541-203-0666. We might even play it on the show. You can also help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcast directory of choice. Mosques and Islamic centers in the California cities of Long Beach, Claremont, and San Jose have received the following photocopied letter. To the children of Satan, you Muslims are a vile and filthy people. Your mothers are whores and your fathers are dogs. You are evil. You worship the devil. But your day of reckoning has arrived. Thanks to a new sheriff in town, President Donald Trump. Oh, that was painful to say. He's going to cleanse America and make it shine again. And he's going to start with you Muslims. He's going to do to you Muslims what Hitler did to the Jews. You Muslims would be wise to pack your bags and get out of Dodge. Yeah, that does say Dodge.
Wow.
This is a great time for patriotic Americans. Long live President Trump and God bless the USA. Americans for a better way.
Right. So I hate every religion pretty much without question in general. But fucking Muslims, And the Quran is their third holy book. I mean, it's the Old Testament, the New Testament, and then the fucking Quran. So this is like an extension of Christianity. So they're still worshiping the same God, essentially. Just putting that out there.
Yeah. The key thing here, though, is, we hate every religion. But there's a difference between hating the religion and hating its adherents.
Yeah. Yeah.
These Muslims are not vile and filthy people. They are people who are trying to get a piece of the American dream.
Yeah, these are...
They don't deserve
Americans.
it. They have brown skin.
Many of them have fled oppressive regimes and war, and they're the tired and huddled masses that are welcomed by the Statue of Liberty.
Not anymore.
Not to mention the ones that have been around for like forever.
Yeah.
I mean, Muslims have been in the U.S. for a long time. No, the letter like that, I think, is one of the most unpatriotic things that you can possibly do. I'm not one for patriotism myself, but I wouldn't go around condemning an entire group of people.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, they're assuming that these are like fresh off the boat people. And, I mean, fuck, these people could have been their families could have been in America longer than yours.
Actually, I don't think he cares.
Nope, doesn't matter. Muslims in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could be more American than you, motherfucker.
But one of the things that, like, as far as unpatriotic, saying that Trump is going to do to them what Hitler did to the Jews.
Yeah, because we were best friends with Hitler.
The whole argument of the 1940s was Hitler was the opposite of everything American. Wow.
Yeah. New sheriff in town. Fucking Cheeto.
Get out of Dodge. I mean, could he have added any more, like...
I think jingoism is the term for this.
Jingo.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we've got that one.
Who was that? I mean, there's a... Oh my god. Yeah, there is a speech that Will Ferrell gives in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Something about he's reading a speech that read quite a bit like the one you just read, and it's really sad and funny.
Well, it's Will Ferrell. He can make anything. He can make racism funny.
Okay, yeah, maybe so. I generally don't like him. Sorry.
I don't have a problem with Will Ferrell. I just don't like that most of his movies have basically been the same movie. Yeah.
I'll give you that for sure.
That doesn't have anything to do with Muslims.
No, that doesn't. So, Hovsep Avason, a 28-year-old man of Armenian origin, in what is being called a road rage incident, yelled at two hijab-clad women, brandishing a gun at them, and yelling, "Go back to Africa," among other things. They didn't hear everything he said because he brandished a gun at them and was yelling, and they ran.
Yeah.
Once they got into the store, they were so scared they removed their head veils. Whoa. Presumably so he wouldn't find them.
Yeah, he wouldn't come after them.
So,
or somebody else might not get the guts to do something to them because somebody else started it.
So Avason was later arrested on felony ethnic intimidation, misdemeanor terroristic threats, harassment, and disorderly conduct.
Yeah, no kidding. That's...
They had to chase him down. The women got his license plate number, so they eventually found his car. They went to his house with a SWAT team.
No! They knew something about this guy.
They searched through the home and found a safe. Apparently a very large safe. They had
more like a bunker.
They had to remove it with a tow truck.
Wow.
Avason's family paid the $10,000 bail within like an hour or two. But contingent on the bail was he had to surrender all weapons. And it took several days for his father to get him to give him the safe combination so that he could then open up the safe that the police had, where they found 21 guns, thousands of rounds of ammunition, smoke grenades, and bulletproof vests.
Obviously, you need all of that.
You are if Obama's going to come and take your guns.
Or if you want to drive out Muslims.
Or, if you want to, be a terrorist.
Obama. Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And
So
Armenian, huh?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
About 100 years of hate. Armenia and Azerbaijan
Nailed it.
They are ethnically very, very similar. They are bordering countries, and they have hated each other forever because they are Caucasian peoples where one is Muslim and good friends with the Turks and Persians, and the other is Christian, and their friends were further away, like Russia and Greece.
Okay.
And after the end of the Soviet Union, which they were both Soviet republics, where they were forced to get along for a little while, after the end of the Soviet Union, they had a several-year war that is still not resolved because they have enclaves within each other's countries, or exclaves on the other side of each other's countries. And to get between them, you have to, like for Azerbaijan, you have to drive through Iran, through numerous checkpoints in very heavily guarded areas to get there. That is an area with some of the absolute worst deep-seated hate.
But why did he say go back to Africa?
Because Muslims are obviously African.
Well, that's, I mean,
You can't really tell with the hijab, and so...
Okay.
They might have been Somali.
They were black,
assume,
probably, and he
I would
just
assume they
assumed.
were, yeah.
Yeah. Because...
The more
if a
you know,
person-
Dealing.
Obviously, they're from Africa. Right.
Ugh.
Kind of like everybody is if you go back far enough.
Good point, sir.
All right, now for one that gets a little heartwarming towards the end. On Thanksgiving, a Muslim woman in a hijab went to the Smith's grocery store in Albuquerque, New Mexico. When another customer started yelling at her stuff like, "Get out of our country, you don't belong here, you're a terrorist."
Okay, people, are you getting the theme?
Within moments, almost everyone in the store came to her defense. One woman put her arm around her, and an employee stood between the women, the one in the hijab and the asshole, to make sure the altercation didn't get physical. Then, once more employees arrived, they escorted the bigot out of the store, and then when they saw that she was waiting in the parking lot, the employees escorted the Muslim woman to her car and helped her load her groceries.
Aww.
Yes.
And by the time the police showed up, everybody was gone.
Sweet.
Wow. That's awesome. That is heartwarming. I mean, yeah, that's cool. We threw this one in because, well, we just described several instances where Muslims were being harassed and felt like they were in danger. And this has been happening a lot since Trump has been elected. Like, skyrocketed. It's insane. They can't
Hundreds.
Yeah, they can't count how many times this has happened. So this week at Ohio State University, there was a knife attack, and the one thing that I kept thinking was like, please don't be a Muslim. Please don't be a Muslim. Please don't be a Muslim. And I clicked on the link. I'm like, it's a Muslim.
Well, and it was actually more than just a knife attack. He drove through a crowd of people before he got out and started stabbing people with a butcher knife.
So I started looking into the story. It was like, okay, so what was the motivation? Was it ISIS? Was it something else? Like, no, this guy wasn't associated with any kind of extremist organization. He had some extremist Facebook friends, but nothing any worse than some extremist Christians that we have in this country.
People fucking snap.
he snapped. He snapped because he couldn't pray in public. He couldn't. He was being treated as a second-class citizen, third-class citizen, and he snapped and decided that there was only one way out. Unfortunately, I kind of feel for the guy. I feel empathetic for him because here we have a whole population of people who, because of their religion, are being threatened on a daily basis. You can't click on the news without hearing about somebody being put in danger, and it's just like, what else do you do? Write to your congressman? No, that doesn't work. Unfortunately, I also don't agree with his method of getting attention, but I can understand it.
Yeah, when you look at it, before terrorism became a Muslim thing, it was never really respected, but it was a highly effective political tool to get what you want.
Oh, yeah, the fucking Irish been doing it forever. Long time.
Yeah.
And that's my family right there.
Oh, heck, you go back far enough, the early days of the American Revolution was acts of terrorism.
Yeah.
Guerrillas, guerrilla fighting.
Terrorism has one man's terrorist was always another man's freedom fighter.
Yep.
And now it went from being political to religious. And that's when it gets weird.
Yeah.
And creepy.
Yeah, and you can't call this guy a freedom fighter because...
No.
But, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there.
So one point I want to make with this, though, is you often hear the right-wing defense of guns that, oh, if people don't have guns, they'll just use knives. Like this guy did. There were 11 victims.
Well, it could have been 40.
11 victims, and they're all alive.
Yeah, nobody died.
Except for him, when the police shot him.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, they probably didn't have to.
Probably not.
Anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
But he successfully attacked 11 people, and no one died. The difference between an attacker with a gun, an attacker using something else because they can't get a gun, is the severity is so much less.
Yeah.
So much less. All right, let's go ahead and take our last break and then hand it over to you, Wesley.
All right.
As a listener of the show, I'm going to assume you love my sexy vocal stylings. If you love the rest of the show as much as my voice, consider giving us the resources we desperately need to purchase quality cocaine and Red Bull. We make it super easy to make a one-time donation or to support us on a per-episode, monthly, or even annual basis using PayPal or Patreon. Find out more at atheistnomads.com. Use the links on the right side of the page. $1 an episode is all we ask.
So everybody knows that swastika cupcakes are fun, right? Yeah. It's funny to bring swastika cupcakes to a Jewish high school girl's birthday party. Yeah.
Wow, that is crossing so many lines.
That is kind of fucked up.
So many delicious frosting-covered lines.
I know, just kind of rub it out and, just delete your hate-filled cupcake.
Come on, it's just a joke. Just eat it. Just eat it.
Right?
No.
And that's exactly what the students, the girls said. There's this was in Arizona and came from TV station KPNX. Said that the mother of the teen posted images of the cupcakes on social media and hoped to make a teaching moment out of this incident. Mother said that she believed party goers knew that the symbol meant because they had recently had a lesson at school about the Holocaust. And if you're just getting to fucking high school and just learning about the Holocaust and the swastika and the fucking Nazis, there's something wrong with your school. Mm-hmm. Just putting that out there.
Oh, yeah. You should definitely be well aware of all of that by
fucking fifth grade.
Seriously. Third or fourth grade.
At least. There was this thing called the Second World War, and there were this group called the Nazis, and they didn't like a lot of people.
You can't call your teacher a grammar Nazi until you've actually learned about the Nazis, kids.
Right. Yeah. And if your kids aren't listening to this, I know we do a disclaimer at the beginning, but come on.
Come on.
Holy shit. Yeah. So they did it to be funny, and apparently the girls did apologize, but really? Fucking high school girls?
Yeah, that's beyond apology. That's like community service.
The cupcakes look tasty, though.
I want a cupcake so bad now. No, seriously, that's not cool. And who on earth made the frickin' cupcakes? Was it the...
I'm sure one of the girls' moms made the cupcakes, and then the girls added the swastikas later.
Oh, that's very possible. Because I can imagine mom's like, okay, what do you want me to put on it?
Yeah.
That Buddhist symbol? Okay, that's nice. How progressive.
No, it was the girls at the party decorating their own cupcakes.
Oh.
So the fun decorate your own cupcake thing turned into...
Way to turn something
Fuck
that
you,
is
Jews.
Beautiful and wonderful in this world into hate.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. The cupcake is like a universal symbol of love and fat acceptance, because I'm fat. I love cupcakes.
And they... Like, this is like biting the hand that feeds you.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. So we don't need to talk about this that much, but it's just kind of...
We're sorry. We're all thinking about food. It's hard to not focus on the food.
I've got beer. My sugars are appropriately fermented.
I'm shaking my head vigorously at you, girls. That's bad. Bad. Oh, goodness. So oh yeah.
Oh God. The next one is awesome.
I'm titling this story Because He Wants to. So, why do some boys wear makeup? Because they want to, dear. Yeah. So you have a Christian blogger that homeschools her son. He's like 6 or 7 years old, and it seems that Mommy Dearest wasn't policing her child's TV time very well. And CoverGirl's latest commercial came on with James Charles' image. Just, his glorious image just filled the screen. And to quote this mother, David and I must now determine how we are going to handle these big issues when we are not together. If David and I haven't discussed something and he is alone with Mark, what will he say? What do we need to talk and then lay it all out right now? Or do we have to wait for Mark and the other kids to start discovering these issues? It is incredible how a 30-second clip created so much turmoil in my house. And what is all of this horribleness talking about? CoverGirl has a new model for their commercials. He's a male. His name is James Charles, as I said. And he looks pretty fucking good at makeup.
He's a makeup artist.
I've known some guys who just even lightly will put on some makeup, and yeah, it's, it kind of makes you feel better about yourself when you can cover up that acne or accent those eyelashes that you have, like, that are blonde and impossible to see.
He's a kid. He's 17 years old. He's got like 1 million literal Instagram followers. And yeah, he looks pretty fucking
rocking it.
Like on point. His shit's like good. So who gives a fuck? Really? Some people like to wear makeup. Who gives a fuck? In a conversation, you don't have to like defend your tender sensibilities.
Well, and a young child isn't going to think much of that unless they
make it a big deal.
Unless they have been taught to think something of it.
Unless mommy fucking freaks out kind of like she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodness.
I think the kid would be better off with whoever Mark is.
I'm guessing Mark would be the dad.
Or an older brother or something.
Well, David's the husband.
Oh. Yeah, Mark must be older brother.
Or a friend.
All right, and now feedback.
Hey, we got a bunch.
It's all one.
Well,
yeah,
two.
It's a bunch.
Okay, they're both from the same person, actually, I think. So, from Rich from the UK, about the British police and guns. Firstly, great show. Long-time listener from episode 1, in fact. And it has gone from strength to strength as time has gone on. I am particularly pleased with the introduction of Lauren as a third, contrasting female voice.
I'm contrasting.
I thought I would drop you an email regarding your comments about the British police, seeing as I am one, and guns in your latest episode, number 174.
He's a Bobby?
Oh, with a cool little hat.
Yeah, when Wesley and I were both talking out of our ass about British police. Yep. Okay, so now
got called on.
Now we get to actually learn what it's really like. Okay, so firstly, as you are aware, the UK is largely a gun-free society following two notable mass shootings. Hungerford, 1987, and Dunblane, 1996, which led to the banning of assault weapons and handguns, respectively. In fact, we have very, very strict laws about carrying any weapons for self-defense. Basically, you can't. Even anti-personnel incapacitant spray is illegal.
So like pepper spray or mace or something.
Yeah.
You can't call it mace. You gotta give it its proper name.
Even then, the British police, outside of Northern Ireland, which has had its own issues, are routinely unarmed. As an example, I now have 13 years of service, and I have never once fired a gun, ever, nor do I ever wish to do so. Armed officers in the UK are members of specialist units, either armed response, responding to those few calls involving firearms, or specialist security units such as diplomatic protection or airport security, as an example. The basic firearms course for the Glock handgun and the MP5 carbine is 5 weeks long, are very intense, and usually between a third and two-thirds of officers fail at the first time. Wow. Most officers are equipped with one set of rigid handcuffs, a baton, type and design varies from force to force, and a can of incapacitant spray, usually either CS or Captor. An increasing number are being trained in issues with taser, but this is generally limited to emergency response crews. Any use of any item of this equipment and simply drawing an item from the pouch is considered a use, or any use of force has to be justified fully in writing afterwards. Even handcuffs post-arrest have to be justified, and simply placing someone under arrest is insufficient.
That sounds awesome.
And failing to account for their use can be, and often is, prosecuted as an assault by the officer.
Yes.
Woo!
If any officer has a private firearms license, it does not allow them to carry on duty. And yes, most firearms that are legal are very, very strictly regulated through the licensing process. I hope that clears up the matter. And if you have any questions about UK criminal law or policing, please don't hesitate to ask.
I honestly want this guy on the show.
I just want pictures of you in your uniform.
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome.
And pictures of the country.
I actually learned something today about... It was watching a YouTube video about why police wear blue. U.S. and Britain had different reasons why. U.S. was leftover Union soldier uniforms. And for Britain, they went with blue because the military wore red. And in the early days, police officers, when the first police force was really established with the Metropolitan Police in London, also didn't carry guns to further distinguish them from the military.
Okay, cool.
So it sounds like there's a long history of unarmed cops in Britain, unlike the U.S., where many of those early cops were...
like town sheriffs and fucking cowboys. And
Wild,
shit.
Wild West.
Yeah.
Wild, Wild West, or militias hunting down slaves in the South.
Yep.
Yeah.
I prefer the Wild, Wild West version. It's
at least we can try and
more equal.
We can try and
yes, because lynching Indians is so equal.
Okay, I guess there's that part.
I'm going to talk out of my ass some more and say that the British troops wore red uniforms so that we couldn't tell if they were bleeding or not. Correct me.
I will, actually. The reason the British Army wore red was to decrease the chance of friendly fire.
Oh, maybe the Americans should take a note out of their book.
Well, so this was in the days of muskets and lining up troops into two lines and shooting at each other until one side retreats. And it would get so hazy that there ended up being a really high risk of friendly fire. So they wanted something that would stand out.
They were in a line.
Yeah.
Shoot forward. Don't shoot to the guy next to you.
Several deep.
Oh.
And eventually the line will break and people will start running. And You don't want to be shooting your
Yellow
own.
belly.
Or stabbing your own with your bayonet.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be shitty.
Okay, I've got one more question for you, Rich. And I know this isn't true, but I want your take on it. The other thing you'll hear from kind of the right-leaning people in America about British cops is stop, or I'll say stop again.
Or if it's Canadian, it's stop. Or else I'll say stop, please.
So, do you ever run into problems with
people
not stopping? And do you ever get resistance where you actually need to draw your potentially assaulting handcuffs?
Have you ever shot 2 guns while jumping through the air?
Whilst jumping through the air.
No, he hasn't, as he already said.
Come on, Hot Fuzz. You've seen that show.
Yeah, I
Pop
saw
culture
it.
reference.
I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah. And we got a new iTunes review. And thanks
From the same one.
Thanks
same
to
person.
mypodcastreviews.com, I now have access to all iTunes reviews in the world.
Holy shit.
Whoa.
We'll get a monthly email with them if I don't want to
that's
just
kinda
keep
cool.
checking on the site.
Which he'll do obsessively,
And
so don't worry.
No, I won't.
Yeah, you will.
But I don't have to log into Windows to do this.
Yeah, logging into Windows to log into iTunes to get reviews. Ugh.
Which usually ends up taking like 2 hours because Windows 10 is doing another fucking update. And then half the time iTunes needs to do another fucking update. And by the time you get all the updates done, I don't care anymore. So anyway, the new iTunes review, 5 stars in the UK.
Yes.
Excellent. I have been listening to the show since episode 1, and their format development, particularly the introduction of Lauren as a third and contrastingly female voice, has made a massive difference. Love it and continue to look forward to popping up in my podcast feed. RH, London, UK.
Thanks,
Lauren.
Rich.
You have a contrasting female voice.
Contrasting.
Yay.
Yay!
Thanks, Rich.
I wasn't sure what you were saying yay to. I'm like, did you really like that bit? Oh, good times, good times.
Yeah. And we don't have any new supporters, but we do have the new patron feed.
Woo!
So if you become a patron, you will get early access through that, and if there is bonus content, you will just get a longer episode. Which, looking at it this week, we're only at 1 hour and 4 minutes, so it doesn't look like we have any.
Not this time. Maybe we'll BS some stuff. It is also, we're recording on Giving Tuesday, so if you feel like you still have some cash left over when this is released, and you're like, yeah, I could throw it to someone, throw it to us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because hookers and blow.
Because I've never had cash thrown at me before, so some girl's got to experience that at least once in her life.
I've had a couple of dollars put in my G-string. It's pretty nice.
Wait, how much cash do you have there? Dude, Dustin's been holding out on me. $5.
I just threw money at Lauren.
All right, I'm rich.
Yeah.
Rich with George Washington's.
And there's still some on the floor.
Jeez. I got it.
Okay. All right, but yeah, we have no new patrons, which makes us sad.
Yeah, we understand it's hard, especially during the holidays, but this is also the best time of year to get your budget figured out and to thank those who bring you entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment, frustration, edification,
Hoo-haws.
venting, ranting.
Hoo-haws.
Yeah.
And pie.
Hey, pie is good. Pie is worth it.
We don't bring pie.
Shh. We bring pie.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you both for joining me.
Yay.
Of course.
And remember, not all those who wander are lost. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Nomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.